Hey everyone, welcome to yet another Star Trek podcast. I'm your host for today. My name is Drew. Tonight, my co-host. First up, when he stares at you, you turn into Magic the Gathering cards. It's Brad. What's going on, buddy?
Man, hey, how's it going? Yeah, I mean, I got that magic glare. What can I say?
Dude, are you tapped or untapped?
I gotta make sure I'm untapped all the time. I gotta be prepared.
I got a confession. That is literally the only thing I know about Magic the Gathering.
You know what? You got the basics down. That's all that matters.
Next up, he stares at you and you turn into protein powder. It's Majid.
That's so accurate. It's either protein powder or pre-workout.
Oh,
I mean,
man.
aren't they the same thing?
No. That's
he's ready to pour you into some water and drink you.
I might have to break out that safe word.
Ooh, yeah. We're getting close. We are not even a minute in, and we're about to break out the safe word.
Oh my goodness! How you guys doing today? It's been exactly 1 week since we've met to talk about our favorite show in the entire universe, Star Trek. And man, it's been a heck of a week, hasn't it? How's everything going, Brad?
I've been doing good. Had the wife's birthday this past weekend. Did absolutely nothing, so it was fantastic, and did everything that she wanted, which was fantastic for her. So therefore, not so much for me.
I'm sorry to hear that. But
I know there's a lot of cleaning. There's a lot of cleaning and cooking and laundry.
Was she like standing over you with like
Wooden
judging?
spoon.
With a wooden spoon, judging everything you're doing.
The judging eyes be like, those clothes are not going to do themselves.
Ooh,
Fold it again, and she knocks over the entire basket.
She's like a cat standing on top of the on top of a cabinet, just knocking stuff over.
Clean that up, and
while making eye contact the entire time.
And Majid, how you doing, man?
I'm great, man. Up here in the Northeast, we had a squall, a snow squall, and the skies blackened for 10 minutes. After we got the alert, I said to myself, I should get some popcorn, and I was fully prepared to leave the house to go up the street to Target and get popcorn. And my wife says to me, "No, I'll go with you." I'm like, "You sure? Because this is about to start, and we're not gonna be able to get popcorn." And lo and behold, by the time she was ready to go, the squall started. And I just kind of shrugged my shoulders, turned back to her slowly, and unzipped my jacket and said, "This is your fault."
Why did you need popcorn?
Why not? Who doesn't need popcorn?
I mean, like, didn't you have other food in your house besides like the water that was coming out of the faucet? Couldn't you have some chips and dip?
Yeah, but not every day is chip and dip day. Some days is popcorn day.
And apparently Sunday was popcorn day.
I think it was Saturday.
Shit.
You're in the same state and you don't even know
Right,
this.
we are
I
in the
have
same
no
state.
concept of time.
For the record, Drew and I talked that day, and we were like, "Man, what a weird weather phenomenon that just happened because of not global warming." And Drew was like, "Oh yeah, no, I'm up in this city, and it just happened too. Cool."
Yeah, we had it about 20 minutes before you had it. And but yeah, to answer your question, what day is it? I don't know. It's all very confusing for me.
It's today. That's all that matters.
It is today.
Drew doesn't use a clock or a calendar. He looks up at the sky. And he determines what day and time of the year it is.
Yeah, pretty much.
Winter solstice seems to be coming pretty soon today.
Is a meme somewhere there.
Yeah.
So there was something that I wanted to talk to you guys about last week, and we kind of missed it. And I kind of want to get your impressions on this. Variety Hollywood Reporter announced that there's going to be a new Star Trek sequel using the J.J. Abrams cast. Have you guys had a chance to look into that at all? And do you have any thoughts?
I'm super excited, man. I'm super excited. And every time they've tried to move forward with this new Star Trek and the Kelvin timeline, I think I've sent you the article, and you've said to me, and I quote, "I'll believe it when the trailer comes out. Even then, I won't believe it until I have tickets in my hand, walk into the theater."
I'm pretty sure though you would be excited if we just said lens flare.
I love it. I love it.
But you know, that is an accurate statement, Majid. Like I have been waiting for this fourth film since the third one, which, you know, I enjoyed quite a bit, and they've tied so many different directors to this fourth movie over the past how many years at this point, and nothing is happening. So I mean, it sounds like the cast is on board, but I guess, I don't know. Now I'm reading some stuff that not everybody was aware that there was going to be a fourth movie, and I don't know any details, but
did they initially plan 4 movies?
They only planned one.
I think that's accurate. Yeah, I think they've just been kind of going as they go.
Honestly, like I didn't really care for the third one. I honestly can't even remember.
I think the third one was probably one of the better ones.
I felt it was.
Yeah, because it felt closer to what we've been watching on the series, you know?
Yeah, I would agree with that. It felt the most Star Trek to me.
Star Trek E.
Yeah, Star Trek E to me. You know, I felt like the crew had bonded and developed like these real friendships, and they were kind of bouncing off of each other. The first film, like, they didn't know each other. And they were kind of at odds with each other quite a bit, you know? And with the second one, I think there was so much focus on, you know, the whole Khan reveal and everything. And I just felt like they hadn't earned some of that stuff. And then it just got a little silly. But the third film, to me, felt more organic. And it kind of reminded me of, like, some of the later original series films, some of the Next Generation films. Just, I don't know. It felt like more of a Star Trek movie than the other two.
Because the first Star Trek had to set up Kirk taking over on the ship. It had to set up these bonds. It had to explain where this existed in the timeline. The second one had to live up to the promise that Kirk was going to, quote unquote, earn the captain's chair. And then by the time the third one came out, they had already settled into these storylines, these roles. There was nothing else to really prove.
Right.
So they had a little more freedom to fall back into what made Star Trek Star Trek.
I don't know. I think with the Kelvin timeline stuff, it just feels very unoriginal. It feels like they're rehashing the same characters and retelling the same stories, but just reimagining it. I know that's the point of a reboot, but I would have rather saw something unique or original with new characters, new locations, something that was different.
Well, with the third film, that's exactly what you got. The other two, not so much.
Yeah.
So by that logic, you would, I would say that you would probably prefer the third film.
I agree.
I don't even know. Like I know I saw it, but I don't even remember any of it. Like I know there was this alien with like stripes, and it's like I don't remember.
Stripes sounds right. Like a tiger.
Like a zebra.
Wait, tigers don't have stripes?
I'm gonna let you guys figure this out.
I'm just agreeing with you.
I don't. If we can't solve this now, I won't be able to focus on recording the podcast.
Yes, tigers have stripes.
Ah, thank God. All right, I'm good now.
So today we're going to be talking about Charlie X. It is the second airing episode of the original series. First aired on September 15th, 1966. Second to air, but the 8th episode produced in the series overall. And yeah, let's get into it, shall we? The crew of the Enterprise provides transportation for a young man named Charlie Evans. Charlie is on his way to Colony Alpha 5. Captain of the Antares is all too eager to talk about how great Charlie is. We learn right away that Charlie has never seen a woman before, and that's because he was the sole survivor of a crashed ship and grew up alone for 14 years. Charlie explained to Dr. McCoy that he used the ship's recordings to learn how to talk. It's clear that his social skills are lacking, however, as he starts to stalk Yeoman Rand. After observing how two other men interacted with each other, he makes the bold decision to slap Rand's ass. For some reason, Rand decides not to kill Charlie on the spot, and she tells him to talk to the captain on why it's a bad idea to put your hands on another woman's tushy. After meeting back up with Kirk, Charlie tries to get a better understanding of women, and Kirk tries to find a way to get out of the conversation. Thankfully, a message from the Antares comes for the captain, giving him an out. The two of them take a turbo lift to the bridge, and Kirk becomes a quick change expert, changes his shirt, only to hear a very vague warning before the Antares blows up. Things start to get real dicey at this point. Kirk, McCoy, and Spock play a game of hot potato as they try to get someone else to play father figure for Charlie. As expected, Charlie gets bored of their crap and runs off to find Rand. When he finally finds her, Rand tries to hook Charlie up with another young yeoman in an attempt to give him the hint that she's not interested. But after turning down his advances yet again, Charlie somehow ends up with Kirk again. But this time, Kirk is shirtless, and he tries to teach him how to take a fall. Charlie loses his patience with this judo lesson and with everybody on the Enterprise. He starts to use his godlike powers whenever he wants. The crew of the Enterprise make multiple failed attempts to stop Charlie as they try to prevent him from getting to Colony Alpha 5. Luckily, this amazingly timely alien race called the Thasians show up in the nick of time and magically undo everything Charlie did, including returning all the people that Charlie made vanish into nothingness. The floating green head explains to Charlie that he was given powers to live, but he can never leave their planet. In the freeze frame shot, we see Charlie vanish and the crew of the Enterprise go back to their daily tasks. To sum up the episode, Charlie X is not related to Professor X. Kirk is a quick change expert in the turbo lift, and if a bodiless being ever shows up, you better do what it says. Wow.
That was some episode, wasn't it?
It sure was. So, first thing I got to ask you guys, I'm going to start with Majid on this one. If you had godlike powers that Charlie did, what would you do with them?
Just his powers or just powers in general?
Yes. Let's just stick with Charlie's powers.
I'm gonna make myself rich, because at that point I'm assuming that I wouldn't have learned that with great power also comes great responsibility. So I would have abused those powers.
How about you, Brad?
I'd probably go mess with the Q, see what the hell they're up to.
That brings up an interesting point. Like, how close to the Q continuum is Charlie? I know we're going a little out of scope here for Majid, but the Q continuum have this omnipotence that I kind of wonder where Charlie's would draw the line. I guess he can't just magically appear or disappear. So
there's I've noticed that there tends to be a level of power that flows throughout Star Trek's shows and in episodes that, like, to me, this is like the first true showing of a truly powerful being that is beyond potential comprehension of like humanity. And I think it's a good example of how it's that elephant in the room where this stuff happens a lot, but they just never really address it. They're like, oh, it happens. We're just gonna leave it in the corner and hope it doesn't do anything. And if you truly sit down and think about it, it's terrifying to think about how powerful some of these beings and aliens have throughout the Star Trek history. but it's also comical at the same time. It's hilarious to just understand that at the same time too.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Majid, how do you feel about the omnipotent God storyline?
I think it was very cheesy. I think it was done very, very cheesy. And I kind of wish I had my nachos for that, as Brad would say. I really enjoyed it. But did Kirk also have godly powers? Because stick with me on this one. Whenever Charlie used his powers and he was, gazing into the camera, it would always highlight just his eyes. And during the judo lesson with topless Kirk, he also had like just a highlight around his eyes when he was trying to tell Charlie, "Hey, you cut it out." Like, did Kirk have powers? Just
He had the power of confidence and swagger.
I don't think he's ever like acquired powers in any of the episodes that I'm aware of.
Well, no, I mean, nothing of that nature. No, but I mean, like, you had Charlie who was relying on his powers to get what he wanted, and Kirk was relying on his sheer charisma and confidence to get what he wanted. So it was like
Musk.
And Man Musk, yes. He just, sprayed in the general direction of Charlie, and Charlie obeyed. So, I found it very interesting to watch Kirk kind of flex those muscles, no pun intended.
No, he was flexing.
He was
definitely
flexing,
had a good
yeah.
pump.
So how about you, Drew? Which power, or what would you do with those types of powers if you had that?
Oh, man. I wasn't expecting to have to answer this question myself.
you were like, I'm just hoping we talk about other crap, and so therefore they forget about it, and then I'm good.
In Brad's defense, we are pretty, short-minded, and we will move on.
Years ago, I had a conversation with some friends. We were sitting around trying to figure out what each other's superpowers would have been if we were like, superheroes. And I always joked around that my superpower would be to have the strength to German suplex a tank. You might call that a Drewplex.
I love it.
So
perfect.
So if you're ever wondering where I got that from, now you know.
I love that. I love that you guys were like, "Hey, what would we do if we were superheroes?" None of you guys would be superheroes. Who are you fooling? You'd all be villains.
We were like 20. We didn't know any better.
Man,
we weren't jaded yet.
I would totally use that power for time travel. Just go around.
You don't already?
Oh, of course, man. I mean, there's like
we've definitely seen two Brads in one place at the same time.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Buffalo Wild Wings is a spawn point.
Can I blow your minds, both of your minds, collectively, really quick?
Yes.
Go for it.
I watched the episode on Sunday night
Uh-huh.
with my wife.
What?
I watched the episode Sunday night with my wife.
What did she think? What'd she say?
She was willing to watch it. Now, mind you, this is the same woman that thought Yoda was a Star Trek character. So the fact that I got her to agree to watch this episode with me, I think was, it's pretty Kirk on my part,
Did you like stare at her with shadows around your face and just a streak of light across your eyes and say, "You're going to watch Star Trek with me"?
I kind of slowly unzipped my sweater and I said, "You sure you don't want to watch this with me? You sure?"
Boy, that was misdirection of its finest nature, man. Yeah. You want to get a little bit of shoulder here? Let me show you some of that shoulder. Oh yeah, now you're watching the Enterprise.
she totally enjoyed it, man. She was there for it.
Yeah.
She thought it was cheesy, but she enjoyed it. She was like, "Oh, hey, that's the same character that was in the movie with she said Gamora." I love that she knows Zoe Saldana is just Gamora now.
Oh my god, yeah.
And she was like, "Oh, I see why they cast him. I see why they did that. Oh, he looks like Kirk from a different angle. I see why they use that handsome guy." I'm like, "Wait, you think Chris Pine is handsome also? Because I do."
I mean, he is.
Yeah, I was I was embarrassed, that I'm over here writing notes down, and I had to get up to put clothes in the dryer, and I had to pause it. And she's like, "Wait, why are you pausing it?" I said, "This is homework." I said, "Brad and Drew will tear me apart if I don't take notes and be able to talk about this at the expert level they do."
I think that was actually probably a good episode to introduce her into it. The cage was probably would have made her leave the room and be like, yeah, I'm never watching that ever again. And Mantrap was it was good, but I think this was a lot better episode to introduce a non-Star Trek type of person into the series.
Yeah, no, totally. I'm over here writing down notes, and she's like, "Well, what do you? This is for your little thing with Brad and Drew. Am I gonna be on it?" I'm like, "No, no, you're not. I don't. No."
we can get like a 15-second clip of her being like, "It's silly. You guys are silly."
Yeah,
that's being generous.
She tells a story to other people about how I told her about the podcast with you guys, and how I have my hands on my hips and really proud of myself that I was doing this. Part of her is like, "Oh, it's cool that he has friends." This is what I got to put up with. Till death do us part.
You made your choice.
Yeah. So I beat you guys. I got my wife to watch an episode of Star Trek before you could.
Well, that's not entirely true, because watched Deep Space Nine from start to finish with me. So
don't worry, I'll never get my wife to watch Star Trek. She will watch Star Wars related things, but even Star Wars stuff now is really getting her going with saying, "This is stupid. Why are we watching it? I don't understand anything."
My wife watched Discovery with me. She watched it with season 2 with Pike. So when Anson Mount came onto the cast, she watched those episodes, and I don't blame her for sticking around, because Pike, like we've talked about before, he was just the best part. Not Proto Pike. Proto Pike can go, kick rocks somewhere. I'm talking about Anson Mountain Pike. Can we call him Beta Pike?
She's got a thing for Anson.
I do.
Everybody does.
Yeah.
Anson Mount's streamy.
Yeah. Yeah. He has a salt and pepper hair.
Mm-hmm. I don't even know how to react to that.
You don't. You don't. You just like, okay, well, I'm starting to piece things together. Mitchie likes The Rock. He likes Anson Mount. What do they have in common? Nothing.
He purrs like a kitten.
Keep looking. He purrs like a kitten.
He purrs.
Listen, if a kitten ever purred like that, just get rid of the kitten. There's something wrong with it.
I want to talk about Charlie and his repeated attempts at courting Yeoman Rand. First of all, how do you feel that situation was presented?
Stalkerish?
Like it was the implication that she couldn't say no, or something bad will happen to her. Because she's on a boat. She wouldn't dare say no.
I feel like they handled it pretty well, though. Like,
Yeah.
we've seen this sort of thing happen with the first episode, the pilot, and I feel like if this situation arose with those sensibilities from the pilot, we might have had a very different outcome.
Yeah, she stood up for herself. She was very commanding, and she knew what she wanted, what she didn't want. I just quickly. Not a sidestep, but just a quick thing. The uniforms for the women were really, really short.
Yes.
Like, I think Uhura fell off a chair and is like basically an underskirt shot. It was the weirdest thing. I really hope that as the show goes on in season 2, they give her a more conservative look.
Pants? You hope they give her pants?
Let's not go that far.
You're not going to see pants on the women's uniforms
No.
until the movies.
No.
Unfortunately.
Hey, you know what? I feel like we should get some kilts in there, and then I would feel comfortable.
But you're not. No. How? Why? Why would you be comfortable with kilts?
There's equality, man. Like, I want to see a Scotsman with like a kilt on, and then I'd be like, all right, cool, shit's equal now.
They did that in Next Generation.
What? So who do you want to see wearing a kilt?
Me, Scotty.
Drew, obviously. Scotty, he's Welsh. He's not even Scottish.
Close.
He's a Welshman. I don't like this. That's strike two, Brad.
And Picard was a Frenchman.
Right, Jean-Luc.
With an English accent.
You didn't have an English accent.
Yeah.
Is it English?
You're breaking me right now.
It wouldn't be the first time.
Is it me or is it GD's breaking you? Because I could go both ways with that one.
And just to clarify, before some keyboard warrior yells at me, Scotty is in fact Scottish, not Welsh.
I don't have enough information to fight you on this, so we'll leave it alone.
Well, it's a fact.
You need to understand, GD, that you're in the presence of two individuals who are far nerdier than you will ever be.
Hey, out of the three of us in this podcast, who's the one nerd not wearing a Star Trek shirt?
He's got you there, Brad.
Buddy.
Fair.
He's got you there. What'd you guys think about Kirk and the way he handled the situations with Charlie? Namely, how he spoke to Charlie about how it's not okay to treat women that way, or how he tried to reluctantly mentor Charlie to some degree and show some sort of I wouldn't go as far as saying fathership role, but kind of fill those shoes a little bit.
I think given the situation that the story is based around, it was an acceptable method. Because remember, Charlie was alone since he was 3, so he shouldn't or probably wouldn't have an understanding of any type of social cues in that sense. So I think to the way Kirk was trying to get Charlie to understand, it was a cross between talking to a child and trying to get an adolescent young male to understand the whole situation.
Was Janice the first person, or Rand, was she the first person that Charlie saw when he got in the ship? Was it
the first woman?
Female. Yeah.
So lust at first sight?
Pretty much.
I thought Kirk handled it well.
Yeah, and I mean, like, you know, I think he said there's no right way to hit a woman. Thought that was an interesting way to phrase it. It certainly wasn't as definitive as I would have liked. Like, you don't hit women, but you know, I guess we could take it, right? Like, this is what it is.
No, he was saying you don't hit women. Kirk is an exception because of his powers and his man musk. I really appreciated that he reluctantly tried to take Charlie under his wing and showed him how to control himself. But Charlie was just too impatient. And when you couple that with the fact that Kirk didn't even want to mentor him, you know, that relationship deteriorated really fast.
But to Kirk's credit, when the Thasians showed up at the end of the episode, Kirk fought to keep him around. He's like, well, he should be with his own kind. He should not be with another culture.
Yeah.
You know, humans should raise this boy. And I thought that was a true statement of his character, that despite the frustrations, despite the battle he went through to get his control of his ship back and to get his crew back, he was still willing to do the right thing.
Yeah, you could see how he struggled with that decision to keep Charlie on board, which I appreciated. There was some acting there.
Brad, do you think that, like, he had his fingers crossed behind his back when he was saying that to them?
No, I don't think so. But I do have to point out that once Charlie started to exhibit the godlike powers, and I can't remember that crewman, or if they even mentioned his name. It's like this other crewman who was in the same room when they were sparring.
Sam.
He's gone, and then Kirk's just like, "You're a bad boy." That's kind of it. It wasn't like, "Oh my God, what happened to this guy?" It's just more of like, "You shouldn't do that."
That brings me back to another way of Drew ruining me. Last week, Drew basically compared Kirk to Zap Brannigan, and when
Yeah, I can see that.
when Kirk said to Spock, "Hey, he's overtaxing himself, so I know what to do. We have to, we have to keep throwing stuff at him." I said, "Oh my God, he's gonna sacrifice his own crew. He's gonna sacrifice everybody.
He's gonna send wave after wave of women after him."
I said, "Drew ruined me." I said, "I won't ever able to unhear that. Like, it's always gonna be burned into my skull because of Drew."
You're welcome.
See when they said that we have to overtax them, like all I can picture was like, oh, we gotta turn all the lights on, every single room, every single light has to be on for it. And I was like, oh man, my wife would be in heaven right there. I can turn every single light on without having anybody turning it off.
By the way, it was so complicated to turn on some lights. There are 3 people at a station to turn on some lights.
We were talking about we were just comparing your wife to a cat knocking objects off the table earlier in the episode, but like watching McCoy and Spock turning on all the instruments at their panels kind of reminded me of the same thing, because they would just walk over, they'd press a bunch of buttons, and then they'd stare at him, and
So
then
what are
they
you
would
gonna do about it?
Then they'd go over to the next panel, and they'd be like, boop, 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 and they'd stare at him, and Charlie's like, oh, you better not do that. You better not do that, or you're going to be in trouble. And then they would go over to another panel and stare at him.
Don't make me do it.
Yeah.
Don't make me do it.
That about sums it up right there.
I've made that same threat to people, knowing that I can't fight. I'm like, oh, don't make me. Don't make me. Oh, you've gone and done it. You made me.
And
right,
then
bye.
you just kind of slowly give up, and you're just like, okay, I accept this.
I back into the bushes like Homer Simpson. I'm like, you know what? You called my bluff. I appreciate you did it. I'm leaving now.
What did you think about the scene where Spock is playing his Vulcan lute and Uhura starts singing?
It was blatant flirting on Uhura's part, right?
She
this
has
is
something for
time.
the ears, man.
She talked about it a few times in the song. She talked about the ears, and it was a garbage song, by the way. Oh God, the song was trash.
Yeah.
I'm so glad she was an actress and not a singer. There's no way that was breaking top 100.
Was that her actually singing?
Yeah.
What are they gonna do? Bring in a worse singer?
I don't know. Like, I remember reading somewhere that she can actually sing, and I don't know if it was just like years later that she really took like lessons or something, but to me it just didn't sound
right.
Well,
she took lessons after the episode aired, and critics were bombing her for that horrible singing voice.
The first draft of the episode actually had Uhura as a mimic who was like, parodying her fellow officers, like, just kind of mocking them. And I guess it was later turned into the song because of Nichelle Nichols' musical talents.
We keep using the word talents.
Are we talking about the same word?
Just I'm just reading what Memory Alpha gives me.
Are we using this term loosely? Because I can use terms loosely.
Talent?
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Oh, you mean her, not me. Okay. I'm loving the portrayal of William Shatner as Kirk with every passing episode. I think he walks into a room and he commands it. He's the only person I've ever seen wear a bright green silk shirt with the deepest V ever and just own it. Like, he made it look good. And I totally appreciate that.
Yeah, I don't think I ever really appreciated his ability to command a room until we started doing this, quite honestly.
Yeah.
And it is powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel Chris Pine is a good representation?
In some instances. Not everything.
Well, I mean, if you're looking at the first film with Pine in it, no, because he wasn't that person yet. And even with the second film, probably not. I think more so in the third film, but it's different. They're not the same man, even though they share the same name.
So at what point does it become hammy on William Shatner's part, right? Because you've obviously, like I did, hear all the negative things that people have said about his performance, where he pauses in between sentences and he'll just eye bang the camera.
I mean, I don't think that was ever really truly a thing. I think it's just kind of overblown, sarcasm on his delivery.
Well, I think it's over the years things progress to a certain way, and it's certain parts of his acting, because I understand what you mean, Majid, or at least I think I understand what you mean, and I can kind of see that in the episodes we've watched so far, but it's not in a intensity level where it's the entire episode. It's only like maybe he does like a line a certain way that's like totally how Schaffner would deliver it. So I think when you think about the entirety of the series, I don't think it really gets to that point.
Yeah, that makes me happy then.
You won't hear him speak like that, like for an entire episode. Like that is 100% somebody's interpretation of him. That is 100% sarcasm or satire or, whatever.
You just go listen to Rocket Man. They'll take care of your fix there.
Yeah. And like he's in on the joke too. Like I remember there was an episode of WWE Raw that he hosted where he was singing the theme songs to like John Cena's theme and Rey Mysterio's theme, and he was doing it in that stereotypical Shatner delivery. It was hilarious, or at least I thought.
So he's going along with the joke.
At that point, he was. Yeah.
Mm. I mean, I remember seeing him on the Twilight Zone with the plane episode, and like it's the famous line, like there's something on the wing, and I mean, I know that's something that's always brought up as far as campy, but when you actually watch him acting and you actually watch it as in like a full on flow, it doesn't like go out of proportion, and it doesn't go out to that far left field like what people tend to stereotype him as.
That's exactly what I had in my mind, was there's some thing on the wing. Some thing.
Yeah, it is in your head, it is far worse than the actual episode.
Yeah. He'll do that. Like that's not something that will happen often, but it will happen.
Yeah.
But it is the cultural impression of him has way overblown it. So
especially at this point, because this is what almost
50. This is 55 years ago.
Yeah. So at this point, it's going to be a full perversion of what the actual truth is at this point.
Right. Side note, that episode of The Twilight Zone would be fun to do a review for at some point.
Bonus.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And then we can watch the John Lithgow one too version.
Oh, John Lithgow?
Yeah, he I think it was in the movie. Like they redid that exact story with him as Shatner's part.
Interesting.
I love all that campy Twilight Zone stuff.
Yeah, Twilight Zone's great. And just to continue down that path, this story, Charlie X, is very Twilight Zone-esque.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've noticed like for this is what, our third episode so far we watched. All three episodes have a very Twilight Zone, Outer Limits influence, or at least feel in my mind from it. And I think it feels more of them getting their own footing. But then again, as the next episodes we watch, like it could just be this is how the original series is, and it's more on that footing as opposed to what we envision it to be.
I'm curious to see how this kind of pans out, because our next episode on the schedule is, if I'm not mistaken, the first episode produced outside of the pilot. So we're kind of going backwards in the production order a little bit.
Okay, so production episode number 2?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
And we'll talk a little bit about that before we wrap up the show. I'll kind of point out some things to look out for there.
So when do we get Scotty?
That's a good question. I'm surprised he hasn't been on here yet, because he is main cast.
After the episode, there was this, when Charlie gets beamed away, and they basically go back to working like nothing happened.
Yeah.
The end credit, they show like Sulu fighting, and it looks like previews for upcoming episodes.
Mm-hmm.
So a shirtless Sulu and just these space battles, but I didn't see Scotty. Although in my mind, I'm looking for Simon Pegg, I think.
Well,
You will be sadly disappointed.
I don't think so. I think James Doohan is wonderful. I think James Doohan will be hashtag your Scotty.
He's mine. Like I love Peg, but it's so different.
It's no comparison.
Night and day kind of situation.
Wait, I have the ability to say hashtag not my Scotty or hashtag my Scotty?
If you really want to.
You could,
But
I may murder you.
you know what? Bring it. I'd like to see you try.
So I just read that he only appears in 66 of the 79 episodes.
Really?
Apparently, yeah.
Interesting.
Does Kirk appear in every one too?
I would imagine. Well, except for the cage.
Okay.
Oh, man.
So it's funny. One thing, I guess I never really realized was that Rand was a bigger part. I didn't realize that she had a somewhat bigger role in the beginning of the series.
Yeah, I mean she's not quite main cast, but she's a regular. I would
Which
say.
is something I never really realized, and I am kind of sad to say that I didn't know that.
Yeah,
because I actually really enjoy the character. From what I'm seeing of her, I would like to get to know and understand her better.
Yeah. I mean, like I'm thinking back to like Star Trek 4, or Star Trek 3 when the Enterprise is pulling into dry dock and it just fought Khan and she's standing in the window of the starbase looking at the ship and just like, oh my goodness, and that kind of has a little bit more impact now.
Wait.
Yeah.
Wait. Okay. So Star Trek 3.
Yeah.
Picks up immediately where Star Trek 2 left off?
Yeah, the second, third, and fourth films are essentially a trilogy. And they resume almost immediately after the previous one.
Ooh, I love when that happens.
Yeah.
I love that.
Second and the fourth are probably some of my favorite Star Trek movies.
Yeah, same.
I know the third, I have watched it so few times. I probably have only seen it maybe, I want to say maybe 3 or 4 times total. It's not one that I tend to watch on a regular basis. I'd rather watch some of the other ones.
Mm. It's a good movie. Maybe not the best one, but certainly is pretty good in my opinion.
Which one? Part 4, The Quest for Peace?
No. Number 3. There aren't any films with that title.
Oh, I'm thinking Superman. The Quest for Peace. My bad.
Of course you
My
were.
bad. Sorry.
What else you guys want? You have anything else about this episode that you want to talk about that I maybe haven't covered?
Sexy fighting robes. Why are they wearing sexy fighting robes?
Well, first of all, they're called gis.
Gis aren't made of silk.
Neither were those.
It was a pretty shiny and very feathery type of fabric. Something that you would use to seduce a member of the opposite sex. Oh my God, it was velour. Was it velour?
I don't remember seeing velour. Brad is abstaining from this.
Yeah. Honestly, the highlight of the episode for me was the quick change scene with Kirk. Him changing his shirt. That was just hilarious.
Was that an accident? Did they just make a mistake?
I think they had to have made a mistake because like I remember watching the episode and I was watching it and they changed scenes and he was wearing an entirely different shirt, but it was like a consecutive point where they're like doing something. And it was like, oh my God, he just changed his shirt in the turbo lift.
Yeah. Yeah. By the way, this is the first appearance of the captain's log, right? From Kirk?
No, they used captain's logs quite liberally in the last episode.
Did they?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oof, I should have been taking less notes.
Yeah.
I don't think it was as important as this one.
How do you feel about the Thasians as aliens?
I felt like that was Bela Lugosi's head, like just floating up there.
Who's Bela Lugosi?
He's a famous actor from way early on in filming.
Way before your time.
Way before Star Trek.
We're the same age, guys.
You do realize that I went to school for like film editing and all the other fun stuff, right? So I had to do film history and all that.
All right, Brad went to
did not know
Juilliard.
that.
Everyone, Brad went to Juilliard.
Yeah, Juilliard.
Brad is a classically trained actor.
No, I've just seen a ton of movies. I used to have like a collection of movies where it was like up to the 400s. That's pre-Plex. That's before that it was all DVDs.
Listen, I saw a ton of movies too. I saw every one of the Ernest movies. Ernest Goes to Jail. Ernest Scared Stupid.
Scared Stupid, yeah.
You know? I saw all the Pee Wee Herman movies. Let's talk movies, Brad. I saw movies too.
Citizen Kane.
No.
Casablanca.
No.
Singing in the Rain.
No. Those aren't real movies.
All right, cool. Just don't let's hope nobody is a cinemaphile who's watching this or listening to this.
Rumble in the Bronx.
Oh, that is a classic.
It's a cinema classic.
But to your point, Drew, the floating head was to me a bit hilarious. It reminded me of the floating head from TNG, and it also the floating head from I think it was like a Voyager episode or a DS9 episode or something. They do the floating head a few times.
Wasn't that Ransom from Lower Decks? Didn't he turn into a floating head?
We'll talk about we'll talk about Jack Ransom in a bit. I'm gonna put the brakes on that right now because we will get to that.
Oh, I'm excited.
Yeah.
I don't know if the floating head looked like Emeril Lagasse, the famous chef, but I mean, I guess I can always look it up later.
Oh, shit.
Right? We said the same word, right? Emeril Lagasse. That's just
that Bella look. Whatever, man. You know what?
We're saying the same thing.
I'm not even gonna try. I think Drew's right. Let's move on.
We're saying the same thing.
Oh my god.
Let it be known. I win. Brad
All
lost.
All right, guys. So I need to know what you thought of this episode. Majid.
I loved it. I loved it. I'm a sucker for powers. I'm a sucker for powers. I'm a sucker for references, deep cut references to It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. And I guess I'm a sucker for Captain Kirk power moves. Like that was like Captain Kirk has some power moves, man.
That was some big energy coming from Kirk.
Can we just call it Big Kirk energy instead?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was some big Kirk energy.
That was some Big Kirk energy. Listen, he went shirtless to exercise, even though it clearly said no shirt, no shoes, no workout. He's like, it doesn't matter. He's the captain. He was tossing around dudes, twice his size. He was bossing around a character that could literally disintegrate him with a thought. But nope, he was willing to sacrifice his entire crew to beat him. I loved the episode, and I hope we have more like it.
What are you scoring this as?
An 8.
Wow.
I'll give it an 8. I think when we finally do our end of season tally and top ranking episodes, this will be right up at the top. Like this will be up there. Mm-hmm. The fact that you can even get my wife to sit through an episode, I think that means something.
All right. Brad, how about you?
I think the episode was very well done. It did have some points that kind of made me just roll my eyes over. The stalking of Rand was kind of like one of those, okay, really? But they did it in a way that it wasn't overly inappropriate like we've seen in some of the previous episodes. So I definitely enjoyed it overall. I still can't get over the quick change for Kirk, man. Like that was like, and then I think if I remember correctly, in the beginning of the episode, he was wearing that like V-neck.
He was.
And it was so weird. Like at first it was like, is this Mirror Kirk? Is this like Mirror Universe Kirk?
I thought Mirrorverse had like a goatee.
That's only for Spock.
Is that only for Spock? Oh man,
I'm pretty sure Kirk doesn't have it in the Mirrorverse.
I don't believe so.
He just has more chest hair.
I have I've never actually seen Mirror, so I'm looking forward to that.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm looking for that too. But overall, I think that it was a very solid episode. I enjoyed it. See, I'm like torn between giving it a 7 or an 8. Can I do a 7.5?
No.
I don't have a problem with that.
I do.
All right, because Drew's the host, he gets to choose whether or not it is acceptable. So I'm doing 7.5.
We could do 0.5s, but we cannot split it further than that.
Yeah, if you give me
7.25,
if you give me a 7.25, I'm driving to your house and open hand smacking you in the face again.
See you in 16 hours.
So like I enjoyed the episode, but I'm like I'm hesitant to give it an 8, where I want to see more episodes before I give something that high of a ranking in my mind. This was really good, and it was very very high up there. There were some moments of cheese, like you say, Majid, where you could just dip some nachos in it because it was delicious.
That's your saying. That's not my saying.
Yeah.
I just co-opted it.
But that's kind of what it was. It was a very good episode overall.
My cat just like busted through the door like it was nobody's business.
Like this is my room,
yeah,
bitch.
Like the Kool-Aid man
on his hind paws, or
he must have.
Paws? Okay.
I don't know. I think he might have drop kicked the door. I'm not entirely sure.
He drewplexed the door.
He did.
See what I did there? It's a callback.
I did. I like it. I like that.
Drew, what are your thoughts, man? How'd you find this episode?
I enjoyed it, but I think I'm a little bit more negative than you guys were on it. I thought it was a pretty solid episode, but nothing that ever like really excelled to greatness. It's 2022. This is a trope that we've seen done time and time again, whether it's in movies, TV, cartoons, comics, you name it. The godlike creature that doesn't know how to handle his own powers, just out of control. It was done before this, and it's been done since. In 1966, maybe not quite as much as it's been done since, but I still think they did a decent job. There's some interesting displays here, like Kirk's willingness to show zero fear and demand respect, no matter how outmatched he may actually be. And then at the end, he still manages to show compassion and recognizes that the aliens, the Thasians that are going to be taking Charlie away, by putting him with people that are not his own kind, isn't the right way to take care of another human. That's a long way of me saying that I think this is a 6 out of 10. A solid episode, but I wouldn't run to see it, I don't think.
I think this is the first time out of the three of us we have 3 different scores. We have a 6, 7, and 8.
We had a 3, 4, and 5 for the Cage.
Really?
Yeah, I'm tracking this.
I was
the lowest for Cage.
I thought we all collectively hated the Cage.
Well,
we did. We did. Who gave it a 5?
Majid did.
Did I really?
Yeah.
Oh God, can I change it?
No.
I can't change it. The Cage was horrible.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
See, this is why I was trying to get temper your expectations with these numbers.
Yeah, no. I'd rather dig a Q-tip into my ear canal and pull it out the other side than have to watch another viewing of the Cage.
So far I'm not sure that me raising it from a 0 to a 3 is valid yet, but I'll give more episodes some chance to fail.
Fair enough.
Oof. Yeah, forever the pessimist, huh? Hey, Drew, you promised me that we'd circle back to Jack Ransom.
Yes, and I'm about to do so with our introduction for next week's episode, Where No Man Has Gone Before. See what I did there?
No. I don't get it.
Gary Mitchell is from this episode. The guy who Jack Ransom tried to be. When he turned into a god, he was channeling the powers that Gary Mitchell was given.
Who's Gary Mitchell?
Back-to-back God episodes.
Yes, basically.
So are you saying that I have to go back and watch Lower Decks after watching the next episode?
I think it will make you appreciate this episode more, and vice versa.
You expect too much of me.
I'm not saying you have to do it. I'm just saying that it will benefit.
You'll have more appreciation.
You'll have more appreciation. The jokes will hit harder.
I think I've told you this time and time again. Your opinions have a great effect on my life.
You probably should wait until we're done with the whole rewatch because there's going to be a lot more down the road.
I'm not telling you to watch the whole show. Just watch the one episode.
You guys think that my memory is good? I barely remember what we watched 2 weeks ago. Oh man, it was The Cage, wasn't it? Ugh.
Yeah. Anyway, so next week we're going to be watching Where No Man Has Gone Before. An encounter at the limits of our galaxy begins to change Lieutenant Commander Gary Mitchell and threatens the future of the Enterprise and the human race itself. This is the second pilot that Gene Roddenberry filmed for the show. And it was actually the second episode produced, but strangely enough, the third one released. So you guys are going to kind of notice the uniforms are a little different. It's actually quite jarring after getting 2 episodes with the normal uniforms that we're used to. So
is this going to be more V-neck shirt Kirk we're going to see?
No, quite the opposite. Everybody's wearing turtlenecks.
Velour bodysuits. It gets cold in space. I get it.
It's very, very bizarre. But yeah, man, there's this is like the foundation of the Lower Decks episode. So looking forward to seeing what you think about that.
Looking forward to it.
I couldn't be more excited.
I think you could.
I could be more excited. But I feel like if I say I could be more excited, I come off like a jerk. I come off more of a jerk. But if I say I couldn't be more excited, you guys know what I'm trying to say, even though it's not entirely accurate.
That you're a jerk. Got it.
Oh, God, that's Strike 3. That's Strike 3. Have we ever gotten to Strike 3 during the recording before?
I don't believe so.
Oh, God, this is a first. This is a first. It only took 3 episodes to get him into Strike 3.
Again, my goal is 5.
Yeah, well, no, that's a demerit, and we'll discuss fines next week.
On that note, I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in to yet another Star Trek podcast. We'll see you next week.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to yet another Star Trek podcast. We're a part of the Retro Sessions Network. This episode was recorded on February 22nd, 2022. Hey, that's a palindrome. It was hosted by Brad, Drew, and Majid. This episode was edited by me, Drew. Brad wrote the synopsis, and our shoulder daddy, Majid, takes care of the artwork. Our music, Warp Speed and To the Stars, was written and performed by William Grobelar Music. Be sure to check him out on SoundCloud. We'll have a link for that in the show notes. Would you like to chat with us on social media? We're just about everywhere, at Yet Another ST Pod. Want to drop us a line? You can email us at yetanotherstpod@gmail.com. Next week, we will be watching Where No Man Has Gone Before. Please watch along with us on Paramount Plus or wherever you get your shows. Let us know what you think of the episode. Want to support us? The best way is to write a review and rate us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere you get your podcasts. Don't forget to subscribe too. That's pretty important. Thanks again. We'll see you next week.